Hi there, Karen Flaherty from Living by Human Design. Hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to be talking about the gate 44, which is typically called alertness. Okay, so the gate 44 started on October 30th. It goes until November 4th. And we've got the Earth in gate 24, which is typically called rationalization. And so the gate 44 comes off the spleen, the side of the spleen, and then it's hooking up with the 26, which actually just starts on November 1st. And so it's up here in Venus. It'll just be starting late on the 31st, and then it continues for about 6 days. And so over the course of the next week, while the 44 is in the sun, we're going to have this hookup between the 44, which is all about finding the right people, and the 26, which is about integrity. And together they make the channel of surrender, which is also called the channel of salesmanship, or the salesman. And basically it's about finding the right people to be able to sell to with integrity. And that's the idea of that. Of course, there's the shadow side of that, and some of us don't particularly like salespeople and run from them. But what it's going to do is give everybody a sense of they'll have the will center defined, right? And they'll have the spleen defined. The spleen is all about nurturing and the body and intuition and kind of getting a sense of the other person, right? With this 44. And then the 26 is about literally closing the deal with integrity. And so, but the downside of that is manipulation. So I think what you're going to see a lot of this week is going to be pretty interesting because, of course, we're, between now and November 5th, we've got an election going on in the United States, and people are going to be, some people will have integrity and some people will be manipulative. And it's for us to discern which is which. And so it's kind of an interesting energy to have in the run up to the election. I was kind of surprised when I saw that. But this is the way the transits work. You can't, it's you can't make it up, and it's hard to predict. But basically, what happened is, the 44 is in the rotation for the sun right now, and then this 26 just happens to be coming in Venus. I'm sorry, did I say Mars before? It's Venus that moved into the gate 26 on around October 31st. So it's an interesting matchup, and gives people willpower and the nurturing and intuitive capabilities, presumably. At least we'll feel a little bit more of that if you don't typically have those defined in your chart. And especially if you don't have any of these gates defined. I happen to have the 26, but it's just hanging off an open will center. So this week I'm going to feel the willpower, and I'll probably want to get more things done than I usually do. And then the spleen, which is very nurturing and intuitive, and it's a kind of a huggy energy, I call it, right? People want to hug you, or you want to hug people with this kind of energy. So if you don't typically have those energies, that's going to be in play this week. Meanwhile, a bunch of the planets are still retrograde, including the nodes, and and I'll just mention the 24, which is in the Earth, comes off here, off the top of the ajna in the middle, holistic channel, and it's about kind of rationalizing ideas and new things that come into your realm. So just to talk a little bit more about the gate 44, it's called the gate of alertness, or coming to meet in the original I Ching. It's about the success of any interaction that's based on the absence of any preconditions. So this is literally about coming to meet somebody new, getting to know them, being alert to who it is you're looking for. This 44 is part of the business circuit. And the 26 is also part of the business circuit. And so it's literally about meeting the right people in business. It can be with relationships, because as many of us know, relationships in business can lead to friendships and romantic relationships as well over time, right? And so it's really about finding the right people to work with right? If you're, whether you're in charge or you're in recruiting or you're looking for a job, it's about finding that right match. And so the interactions are based on on the absence of preconditions, right? So not making judgments about the person that you're about to meet, not making judgments about the company that you're about to interview with, things like that. The incarnation crosses this week are the crosses of the four waves, alertness and incarnation. And in human design, it's called the gate of truth. Then in the gate 24, we've got rationalization, and this is called the return or rationalization in the original I Ching, and they define it as the natural and spontaneous process of transformation and renewal. And that transformation and renewal comes from getting the new ideas, having them be relatively holistic ideas because it's in the middle channel, right? It's not logical, it's not necessarily abstract. It can be a combination of the two, or it can be neither. And so what you've got is this holistic idea that can be rationalized. And the rationalization comes from, things you've previously known in your life and can make sense of, but it's kind of a transformation and renewal from this new idea that allows you to rationalize something further, some other new idea that's come into your purview. And in quantum human design, it's called blessings. And so the gene key 44 is actually, the CD is called synarchy, which is coming together of a lot of everybody, basically. It's this happens to be a picture of treetops, but it's basically coming together, a collective coming together and governing in a way that works for everybody. And so that's what this Gene Key 44 is about, right? It's about finding the right people, having them, kind of be able to work together, have different talents and skills all the time that are coming together, working together, and creating a new something new, some new product, some new idea that the people can sell or run with or create even further projects. So the shadow is interference, and it's interference in that if you're not the right person coming into a job or a new project or relationship, it's an interference. It's almost like interfering in the what's supposed to happen or what could happen, right? I like to say that when you're in the wrong job, when you're in a job you don't like, you're taking up somebody else's space. And so that's what I mean by interference. That's what Richard means by interference. It's being in the wrong place. And so it really usually leads to dysfunction, whether it's in a family or romantic relationship or business environment. Any of those would create some kind of dysfunction in the balance of power and functioning of the organization. On the repressive side, where it's the fearful side, it's distrustful. And this is usually when somebody has had a really bad experience, either in a job or relationship or in childhood too, could be in childhood, and that makes them distrustful of everybody that they meet. And it makes it really hard to have a relationship that way, right? On the reactive side, on the more angry side, you've got people misjudging. So, you might go into interview for a new position, and the person on the other side of the desk, who's basically being the whether it's the actual person you're going to be working for or the gatekeeper, they're misjudging you, and they're making assumptions about you that are not true. And so they're also on the shadow side because it's not coming in the absence of preconditions, right? They're coming with preconditions, and maybe everybody who's ever been in that position has been a failure, and that's what they're kind of, projecting onto you. So that's definitely a misjudgment. The gift here is teamwork. That's, finding the right people, being able to kind of pick them out of a lineup, finding the people that make sense. And this gene key or gate actually comes with a sense of smell, which sounds kind of funny, but it's basically an olfactory advantage that these people with the gate 44 have. And it does, it sounds kind of weird, but these are the kinds of people who can smell, especially if they're in healthcare or really in any kind of healing profession, they can smell if just from, they're basically their entire immune system becomes an olfactory channel, and they're able to take in whether it's pheromones or hormones or anything else that's going on with the body that's in front of them, that they're feeling, they're basically able to figure out that they're either sick or well or pregnant or have some illness. It's really a very interesting thing to see. I don't have that, but I've heard of people who do, and it really makes their job a lot easier, obviously, but also is a little creepy in a way, because they're basically using all their senses, including the sense of smell, to figure out who's in front of them. And so when you have the gate 44, that can happen. And so it's almost like these people are sensing with their sense of smell who would be good for the position and who wouldn't be, who's a good fit in the organization and who's not. And so that's leading to teamwork, right? It's leading to teamwork that can work together and that can find a balance of the skills and talents in the organization, so that everything's working on a really even keel. And then the CD, as I said, is synarchy, which is basically a collective coming together that can govern the entire culture or community or organization or whatever it is. So he says that the master key, this is one of the master keys, 44, it's a double-digit number. This is the key of synarchy, which is about the power of self-organizing intelligence. So it's the way nature works, it's the way organizations work, it's the way families work. It's how any of this stuff comes together. And so I hope you have a wonderful week. Do be aware of people who are trying to sell you things or help or wanting you to come to their side of the fence. That will be happening a lot this week. So keep your wits about you and be aware of any information that sounds weird and make your decisions accordingly. So have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Be well.